Hey guys, welcome back. I've got a list of videos, reviews of guns I'm working on right now, and they're slowly getting done. It's just a matter of when I have time in college. So today we're checking out something a little unusual. This is a GSG 522, and if you go look this up, they don't make them anymore. I was able to snag this from a local Airsofter who just really didn't want it anymore, and he wanted to give it away to a good home. And so you guys probably know me as like the MP5 guy. I haven't seen one of these in person for a long time, and they're pretty hard to find, so they're a bit of an oddity. So we're going to check this out today. Now, what's unique about this particular MP5K is that if you go look on a lot of websites, they list it as an ICS AEG. Obviously, it's not. My guess is it's something to do with licensing, but it's an old enough gun, it's kind of hard to look up nowadays. It is pretty different, but the big thing is it's OEM'd by CYMA, or CYMA, or however you want to say it. So it's a pretty heavy gun. It's a big hunk of a metal upper receiver, and in a lot of ways it's pretty similar to any other CYMA MP5K, which sometimes nowadays you can get on eBay, or you can get off, I think one or two websites still have variants of them. But in general, they're a little harder to find in the US right now. But this one is pretty unique. It actually comes with the folding stock, and the spring to fold the stock is absurdly stiff. When I actually fold it, I'm a little afraid I'm gonna break it out of the back of the body sometimes when I'm unfolding it. It is that stiff. But it is comfortable, as are MP5Ks in general to me. That's why I like them so much, and that's why I have a number of MP5s. But this one I believe is based on the 22 by GSG, which is kind of different. It's going to have your rail up top, which no other MP5K has, which is rather neat. Oddly enough, it does screw in, so if you want to take a regular CYMA MP5K or Marui or whatever and tap the top for some screw holes, you can probably attach this rail if you wanted to. You do get your kind of weird notched basket rear sight. The lower receiver is a bit different from most others out there. It's going to have a dimpled grip, not a stippled grip, but a dimpled grip. I actually like the texture of it. It feels a little, honestly, it feels a little bit like a toy, but I do like it. It's kind of a weird mix. The selector is also different. I'm not sure I like that quite as much as the standard MP5 or MP5K selector. You do get the GSG 522 logo as part of the receiver here, so it's got a little bit of a trade on it. And those are kind of the big things. It did have a different front sight front end on here originally. The previous owner did want to put the threaded barrel on it for a suppressor, so he put a different, I don't think this is a CYMA per se, I want to say it's probably classic Army front end, so I actually don't have a place for the little bar up front for the spring for the charging handle. Speaking of which, when I got it, it unfortunately did have some fractures on the charging tube up front. I did have to put a layer of JB weld on the inside and try and get it in the crack as much as I can to kind of keep it from cracking more, because there really wasn't a whole lot of metal left there keeping the front end on, so I want to preserve it as much as I can. The charging handle itself did break off, unfortunately, so that was kind of a downside, but I've got a spare and I'll put it in there eventually when I can figure out a front end that's got a spring on it so it doesn't just kind of wiggle around. The handguard is a little bit different too. Normally you'd get, remember the old Echo 1 SOB2, it was kind of a version of this a little bit, but it had a one-piece hot metal handguard up here. When I saw this, when the previous owner sent me a picture of it, asked me if I wanted it, I figured it was just the same handguard. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll have a second one of those. It's actually a different handguard, believe it or not. I was rather surprised. This one, the rails are metal, but the housing on the handguard itself is plastic. So it's a bit of a strange amalgamation of the original like broom handle grip and the version with rails. So it's a little bit different. The rails are screwed on, so you can take them off if you want to and just have a really basic plastic handguard to hold on to without a vertical grip, but that's totally your call. This was just kind of a neat gun to find, and definitely it is a bit of an oddity and a rare gun nowadays, something you really just don't see a whole lot of anymore. I really wish, one of these days I think I may just upgrade the heck out of this thing. It's such an odd little gun, maybe a little bit of a sleeper to some extent. When I did get it, the gearbox was locked up, it was non-functional. It was just a shimming thing. CYMA's shimming is never that great. So I re-shimmed it, I did my usual stuff, AOE, yada yada. And the only difference is from stock to when I got it was it did have a random classic Army motor in it. Still works fine. The gun shoots like in the mid 300s, give or take, because Simon does put heavier springs in their guns. And so it shoots great now. Not a problem with it. Definitely maybe a sidearm per se for outdoors. Doesn't shoot super hot, but it doesn't quite shoot CQB legal at the moment. So it's kind of one of those little Goldilocks zone guns where it's not incredibly hot shooting for outdoors, but it's not super soft shooting for indoors. So kind of a neat little gun. Thought I'd show it off to you guys and see what your opinions are on it. Thanks for watching. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo 23. I'll catch you guys in the next video.